Okay, welcome back to the 180 podcast. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm here with my awesome co-host, Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for introducing.
Great. So in this week's show, we're switching gears a little bit, and we're actually going to be talking to one of our current members of our volunteer group. As some of you know, we are a volunteer group here based in Vancouver, and we've been running our group for over 15 years. So a couple weeks ago, we had our very first president, Kevin Lee, come on the show and tell us a little bit about how we started and some interesting stories about our group's growth and what he learned along the way in building a community and becoming a professional. So today we have a very special guest, our current president, 15 years later, um, Ozzie Tran. Ozzie, welcome to the show.
Woo.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ozzie. Nice to meet you.
Oh,
And
Great.
thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
Yeah, of course. Um, so Ozzy, why don't you start by telling our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and maybe what your role is in the crew?
Thank you, Paul. My name is Ozzie. I came to Canada a few years ago and started my, oh my God, can you cut this? Okay, my name is Ozzie. I came to Canada 7 years ago. I took interior design at BCIT and I'm currently working at a local business. They doing a cabinet for condo buildings across BC. And I really enjoy the work. So for my volunteer journey, I joined crew 4 years ago. At that time, I was younger, still in school, still had part-time job. Yeah, and I had my friend, her name, oh no, I had my friend introduce me to the crew, and since then I involved pretty much many activities in the crew, learn and grow a lot, make friends. What else? Mm,
Nick, this is where you ask questions, Nick.
yeah. So thank you.
that's
Thank you,
hard.
Thank you, Ozzy, for the introduction and everything. So, before we dive into what you're currently doing now and everything, I just want to understand your story. So, why did you come to Canada, Ozzy?
Back then, when I was 19 years old, and my ideas about Canada is very simple. It's a North American country, it's a developed country, has beautiful nature, and people say that it's one of the best countries to live in the world, or the best cities in the world to live. Um, yeah, that's what attracted me. I think Canada has such a good education. So I think, okay, good nature, good environment. They're also multicultural country, so it's good for
Pretty cool,
immigrants,
yeah.
good for education, for health. Yeah, that's all good. So I think, oh, Canada's such a good choice. Just do it.
I
Yeah,
think
very
I
simple.
think that's what went through my mind when I first heard about Canada and heard that I got a scholarship to study here. The same thing that you mentioned: multicultural population, beautiful scenery, good health, good education, all those things. So I was really fascinated at the time. Um, also remember that besides that part of excitement and the adventurous spirit and everything, there was a lot of challenges and concerns and anxiety that I remember went through at that time as well. So honestly, like, did you face any challenges while, preparing to come here to Canada or while you adjusting to the life you have
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody um, will have challenges when we make a transition or move to somewhere. When I moved to Canada and looking back 7 years, in the past 7 years, a lot of challenges that I think I overcame and I experienced. Some are like could be finance, could be the
here?
time management. How can I get balance between studying, part-time job, take care of myself, my health, and still have doing volunteer work and crew and have social interaction with my friends and other people. It's actually a big challenge when the place is new. The language is also another barrier, and you have to balance all these things that you want in just normal life like before, and it definitely takes time.
So,
That's yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
no, so I was wondering, because so for those who don't know, my parents decided to immigrate here, so I didn't really have much of a choice. So I was only 4 or 5 years old, and I grew up here, and I didn't, I faced the challenge of just learning one language, not having to adapt to a new one. But my parents were always there to support me because they decided to move here for their own um, economic or social reasons to come here, political reasons even to come here. So, what was your parents? Actually, this is a question for both of you. What were your parents' uh, opinion on this move? Were they pushing you guys to decide on moving out of the country? Were they surprised? Were they supportive? How did your family play into this decision for both of you?
I'll let the beautiful lady go first.
Sure. We have actually in my family we have my auntie and uncles that study abroad and immigrate to in another country. So the ideas of living in different countries is not new to the family. Um, but at that time I was pretty young, and my mom one day just came up with the idea, hey, do you want to go study abroad? I think um, it's good for you. Actually, it's not new to me because when I was 9, actually mom brought it up about like go to somewhere to have a better education. So actually, I moved out of the house when I was 9, so I live in a different city with my uncle and auntie. Actually, the idea of like better education, better life is not new, and it's come natural. So I think, oh, this is another opportunity, and why don't I try it? Because yeah, when I was young, and I'm super excited about everything. I want to try a lot of things. So when my mom brought up the idea of studying abroad, I'm like super happy. I'm like, oh yeah, I will try it. And even like the first idea, like the first challenge that the thought come up in me, like, oh, how about English? I was not that good at English. But then I'm super positive. Okay, I'm like, maybe it would take like just 1 year for me to learn English, and I will just speak English like native. And it actually beat me after 1 year living in Canada.
Yeah.
No, I didn't achieve that.
Well, I mean that's amazing to hear. Like moving out of your house at the age of 9, man, that's amazing. That's something. Because like my parents, they were strict when it comes to my academic achievements, my scores, my grades, and everything. They also are were strict in terms of like the time that I spend at home or inside the house. Like I remember like even until middle school, like I rarely went out with friends and everything. Most of the time I spent were either at school or at home. So that's why I was very surprised when my parents were the one who pushed me to study abroad.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, like I can't go like 10 kilometers out of the house, but now you want me to move to the other side of the earth, which which is kind of funny, surprising. I think having conversations with them, having talked to them, I think and I believe the reason was that they strongly like they have confidence that the life here in Canada would be way better for me compared to me now. Like I was a 17, 18-year-old boy, right? When I knew about opportunities here in Canada, right? I would feel like, okay, like should I go there with the attitude that I should get permanent residence, to have a solid life here in Canada, or should I just go learn, take whatever I could, and go back here, and help develop the nation, develop my country, Vietnam, and also take care of my parents because I'm the only child. But
Mm-hmm.
like my parents, they just strongly believe that go to Canada, stay there, right? Because
Yeah.
like many a lot of other Vietnamese families, they believe that life abroad, life in a developed country like Canada, will be way better for um, generations like us. So
Yeah, no, I'm not that much older than you guys, but I'm quite a bit a year older. I remember I didn't have a lot of Vietnamese friends, but I did know a lot of Vietnamese people who had come here and whose parents had a really hard transition, especially back in, the 70s and 80s, right? Moving over, like I was born in 85. So, you know, imagine someone who's from Vietnam who was born in 85, right? Or 1980s or 1970s, right? What did their parents and their parents go through in Vietnam during those years, and the reason and the drive to move to Canada or the US even. So I felt it a lot more. And then when I talk to you guys, and a generation later, it's a little bit different. The people that I grew up with, or even older than me, who come from Vietnam, they felt like their parents lived a very hard life, right? Very hard, crazy stories of trying to get out of Vietnam, just through all different means, right? It wasn't necessarily through a plane, right? It was swimming to come to another country to survive. So there was very many different attitudes in the 90s around that. But to see you guys kind of come here and get that support, it's really nice to see how things have changed. Even for my parents, they moved here before Hong Kong was handed back to China. So it's I think that's, Nick, probably what your parents were like. You'll have conversations with them maybe 10 years later about the real reasons. I know I never had those conversations with my parents
yeah,
until much older in life, and maybe when I was about thinking about starting a family, they told us about those hard decisions they have to make. They had to leave the family too. My grandmother is 106 years old. Her birthday was just last week, and so we were all on a Zoom call, and my mom is here and supporting me, and I'm supporting her. But her mother is still alive, but she's in another country, and it's just tough for her. So I can definitely see why parents have to make those tough calls, and
true. Yeah.
it's a very it's a very human thing, I guess, to do, to want what's best for your children, no matter what the sacrifice.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
remind me of some point in the past that when I was super tired and unmotivated, many times that I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But mom's there and support me and keep saying that you can do that. Just maybe stay there better for you. Yeah, staying there.
So honestly, like coming on that, like, and also all the things that you talked before as well, like you came here, right? And then you were having difficulties a little bit initially with the language, right? There was new culture to adapt. They have to manage a lot of things happening at the same time, study, work, volunteering, right? And even now, I think your family are here, their family is here. But then back in the days, they weren't there, right? And so what what gives you strength to really move forward?
Good question. What gives me strength?
Yeah. What gave you strength in the past? Like was it like your family? Was it just because like if you don't try hard, then
Yeah, I think motivation came from a lot of sources. In case one doesn't make sense anymore, you have the
yeah.
others. So motivation, I think the main thing has to come from within myself. When I have the motivation and plus other motivations from family and friends, the future, the dreams, I feel super motivated and move forward. But sometimes that when I feel down and feel like couldn't continue, whatever support or like um, motivation from other and outside it doesn't really work. So I think the core, the most important, it has to become within the person. Yeah. And when I realized that, I pay more attention to take care of myself and find the motivation that really always that I can go back and nurture it and keep it growing. Mm.
Mm.
So has there any sorry, has um, has there anything that maybe people locally have been able to help you guys with the most? I think someone who, even though I'm also immigrant to Canada, I think you guys are very brave, very courageous to come here for school at a much more older age without your parents. Like, what has been kind of things that people locally have done to support you guys, like, and you like to see more of as more immigrants come to Canada?
Well, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. The local people. I think I really appreciate one of my old landlords here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are a family immigrant from Hong Kong, and the landlord, the couple, the husband and wife, they were super nice to us. So they have like lower rent compared to market, and they really take care of us. Like when we have anything break down or like we see them in the backyard, they always say hi and talk. Really support me in like a little bit in finance and also like emotional wellness. I think that's the most I get, and I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I think my if I tell my whole story, it take like hours, so I just gotta keep it
Mm-hmm.
short. I don't know, like locally, like the people over here are really friendly. At least the one I met so far, they are really friendly and they're really helpful and supportive. Right? When I first came here, I stayed at a homestay. Right? And the fascinating thing about this homestay was that there were multiple international students from different countries staying there. So I was friends with a Japanese, a Korean, two Turkish guys, a Brazilian, and an Italian guy, right? And usually a few weeks, a few nights per week, we would always stay outside in the backyard, gathering around the table, right? And chatting, drinking hot chocolate, stuff like that. It was really fun, right? I met this taxi driver, Parvis. Shout out to you. He was a lovely gentleman. Like when he heard about stories of me being an international student, and I was moving out, I did not have any furniture and anything. He gave me a free TV, and then a few months later, he gave me a free sofa, right? Which he helped drove to my house.
Wow.
Which he helped drive to my house, and now even now my current landlord, right? At first he was giving out his space for rent at a more average medium price. But then having heard that we are students and everything, he cut down price a little bit and maintained it until now. And we have this joke that usually landlord would stay in the ground floor and then tenants would stay in the basement unit. But then when we first moved in, we stay in the ground floor. He stayed in the basement unit. And now we took the whole house, and then he lived in the van in the backyard, right? But if you think about it, like, he was really friendly. He helped us a lot. We have any questions at all, we can reach out to him. Right? It's been really helpful. I know. I think I just we're really lucky when it comes to receiving help from the local and even the volunteer group from the crew as well. Everybody's been really amazing.
So pro tip: if you're moving to Canada, find a really good landlord and get to know a taxi driver.
That's true.
a really good tip.
It's side tip, guys.
No, that's good. That's interesting stories. I don't think I would have known about either one of you, because you don't really get a chance to talk about it. So how about okay? I know I mentioned that would be a tip, but what about things that you guys have done that really helped you out in terms of adjusting to life here in Canada?
I think what if I can learn from the past is connection. Um, yeah. So the story is when I work at a small restaurant, and one of my customers really liked my service, and he offered a job in a bigger position, and he told me that I can see your potential, and maybe how about you come over to work at my company, and you can have more room to grow. Um, I think it's like a magic. That's something that doesn't happen every day, but actually, when I was nice and like how to say like get to know the people, and actually this connection can help me. And also when I was in crew, when I worked more with rovers, work more with scouters, and I have this connection getting bigger and bigger, I have more opportunities to learn, to grow, and help me.
Hmm. That's fascinating to hear. I think I will add on to the building relationships and finding community thing, specifically for Vancouver, but I think it applies to a lot of other places as well. Whenever you go, there will always be a community of your ethnicity, or at least people who you are familiar to, right? If you find it really hard to adapt to the current living environment or the new culture, then you can always go to people from same hometown as yours, same country as yours, or at least uh, similar culture as yours, and ask, seek help from there. Which lead me to the second point. When in doubt, don't assume, ask. Just ask, don't assume. Right? If you need help, then ask for help. Right? In worst case scenario, they're busy, they can't help you, but who knows? It might save you time from looking like for resources. It might save you time from making unnecessary mistakes. Right? And also apply to the culture. Like you're not sure if you should do this, do that. Should you tip? Should you not tip? Should you drink or eat this certain way or not? Ask, right? Ask people who've been there. Don't just assume that this is the right way, but you need to be able to like to get over that defensive barrier, and open up first, and then people will open up to you. At least from my experience, that's the case.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very universal advice actually, because if you go to someone's country, sometimes, especially if coming from a developed country, like I've been to a few places, with the group and kind of on my own travels, that, even though you think you come from developed country and someone else is coming from a, not so developed country, like people are very proud of where they come from. Like
That's
people
true,
are very
yeah.
proud of uh, their own nationality, their own culture. So they're always willing to help others who are humble and want to receive that help. I remember when I was on a trip once and we were doing a service project, like we were helping a community service project, but we were from another country. The people we were helping at first didn't understand why we were there. Maybe they didn't have a very good communication plan or something like that, or very engaged with the people. But it took a few days for us to change our attitude from us coming there to help them to us coming there for them to help us understand, help us do our project, help us provide development support for our people, right? Rather than us coming down there to help someone else. Like I think people respond very well when other people's, like you said, Nick, ask for help. Because then you're really saying, hey, Mr. Taxi driver,
Yeah.
right? Um, you know, I need support and you're someone that I think could help me, right? So people are very driven by that. I find if you're humble, now not everyone, but definitely advice for whether you're traveling or whether you're moving to a new place is to ask, because I think there are lots of people willing.
But guys, don't just go around and ask taxi drivers for TV, okay?
Yeah, that might be a dangerous thing for some people.
Yeah, that might be a dangerous thing, guys. Switching gears a little bit now, like ever since we started, scouting gear and everything, I've come to discover that you are very interested or enthusiastic in the topic of emotional awareness and well-being and everything.
If I can go back to like find out the original like hint for me to look at this was mm, maybe last year when I was just so overwhelmed and I feel like I never learned time management. I always like have messy schedule, couldn't finish things on time, like was behind on a lot of things, and I was so struggling with this time management. And I think like it's such a hard skill to do. But then one day, I read an article that talking about time management is not about manage the time, but about manage your emotion. And I actually make some observation about myself when I have these like time management crisis. I actually put down what I feel and what I thought in this moment and look at my time, how I do today. And sometimes I realize that sometimes I actually have time, but I didn't do the thing, or I procrastinate, or I was unmotivated to do something. And I start to realize, oh, actually, it's a emotion problem. It's not my time management skill sucks. It's about my emotion. And I, oh, okay. Then now I know the key thing here. Then let's work on my emotion wellness. And it's actually interesting that my friend recommended me a course. It's called Emotional Intelligence, very basic level, and it was a like 2 month course. So I registered and learned online, and I realized that we have so many emotions during the day and the months and the years. If we don't pay attention to it, it will stuck it somewhere in our psychology or whatever in our health, and it actually cause um, unhealthy behaviors or unhealthy um, thoughts that actually affect to our behaviors, affect to our performance. And then it's actually really interesting that what I learned from that course, and I continue to register for another course. And the next level is learning about belief and behaviors that we can find out after assess the emotion, like everyday emotion. This one just like fascinate me, and I start to do journaling, and I start to have more observations about my behaviors, my emotions, my thoughts, and I know that a lot of things that under these regular emotions like tired, stressful, I some defensive with some certain thing, sad about certain thing. Um, yeah, because sometimes I was so emotional with something and react to that, but other people doesn't see that way. So for me, I have some certain belief about that. And when I look at my journal, working with myself on these emotion and belief, it actually helped me understand myself better, connect with myself, um, be aware of my behaviors, and I know where to improve. So I think this is very important, and I want to focus more on this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So, so I guess just trying to tie, um, the two topics that we talk about, immigration and emotional well-being together and everything. So like, how has being in this crew, being in this organization, being in this volunteering and everything help with, your journey of, you know, immigration and overcoming your emotional concern and everything. Did it take more of your time in the beginning, but then it worked out in the long term? Like, how did it work out for you?
I think with a lot of experience during the past few years, they are opportunities for me to actually learn about myself.
Mm.
In certain situations, how do I behave or how do I feel? Um, and like after the time, I have materials to collect. I have experience to look back, and these are these challenges is actually good learning opportunities for everybody, and including myself. Every time I suffer in something, um, that I learn it, and later on I will go back to that and dig deep down into that experience to learn more about myself, what I actually believe, what makes me happy, and how can I tackle this in the future. Yeah.
So maybe you can give us some examples. I mean, you've been volunteering for a long time now with our group, and now you're the president. So this is the person with, I guess, the most responsibility and the most pressure. So has that changed a lot this year for you in terms of volunteer experience, and how has that helped you grow, or has it just made you very tired?
I can share the most recent story. So for me, leadership is opportunity to grow, to learn and grow, and make impact to the environment and the community. In the past, I had leadership experience when I was like in school and younger, like before even I came to Canada. Sometimes it's not a like very successful or beautiful experience, and I kept that with me for a long time. I kept those emotions and those beliefs with me for a long time and make me afraid of taking leadership position. But when I told myself that I really need to work on this because it used to be one of my passion, and why this passion make me suffer, make me fear of that. I took deeper step into it, do more of it, and for the first quarter, when after the first quarter, I do a exercise on reflection. Okay, I took leadership position, and did I feel happy? Did I achieve what I want? And when I reflect, I didn't feel like exactly the happy feeling that I expected. And this is the opportunity for me to um, connect with myself and really try to understand. It's kind of talk to myself that what I feel or what these come like, what are these emotions come from? What actually belief that I hold on to that actually serve for me? I actually find out and I transform those beliefs, just change it, change my perspective, change my belief, and I feel happy again. And I feel leadership is such a great opportunity to grow again. But now I have a different feeling, and I don't fear it anymore. And I just feel like so grateful for having the position that I can do more, learn more, and helping more people.
Yeah. So Ozzy, like that's it's fascinating of things that you're sharing. We've went through enough to finally be able to ask this question to you, right? What would be some questions that you would have for your future self?
Some question that I will have for my future self, my
Mm,
future self. Are you happy?
good.
Yeah. Look around and do you have what you want? Just look around and actually you have everything that you want.
Maybe we will record it and put a reminder for Ozzy like 5 years, 10 years later. Make sure to watch this part again.
Okay. Maybe let's say, okay, what's my question? The question will be, are you happy with where you are?
Mm,
Mm.
thank you.
Well,
Paul, any comments, Paul?
no, that's very insightful, and I think emotional growth is something that, maybe coming from an Asian country, sometimes Asian background, like we don't talk a lot about emotions, um,
Yeah,
right?
you
I don't know
always
if you guys
have to
feel the
like
same way.
swallow it and endure
Yes.
it to life.
Yeah. So for you both to be aware of that, and Ozzy, for you to ask yourself a question like, not, are you making as much money as you want to, or are you in the career that you want, or a lot of these different things. I think happiness is something that philosophers have been challenging for many centuries and millennia. Like, what does it mean to be happy? And I think we're not very honest with ourselves sometimes about that question. So for you to be able to ask yourself in the future that question, hopefully your future self gives you an honest answer. That's a great question, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, if like the word happy is too broad, I can narrow down. Because for me, being happy could be different, right? Um, Maybe I can change the question a little bit. Um, are you being grateful for what you have? So actually, have being grateful is such a powerful feeling that helped me feel happy. Like, am I grateful for the food I have? Am I grateful for the people I have? Am I grateful for the job I have? Am I grateful for all these materials like the house, the laptop, the the food that I have? Um, so like being grateful and feel that we have everything that actually make me happy. Yeah.
Hmm. Maybe this is that question for another day. But I'm curious. Like, what challenges do you see ahead of yourself? You know, as someone in their mid-20s, you're starting your career. You're lead of this volunteer group. You have all the support. You know, what's next for you? You know, how will you know you're happy? How will you know you are grateful? Like, what are the things that you're looking at doing going forward?
I think the next place for me will look like where I can help more people to have this transformation that they can feel happier, more confident, more motivated. And the way to get that is to
Hit that subscribe button.
upload.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I had to say it there. Say that part again.
Yeah, say. Okay, so for my next step, no, my next place will look like I can help more people that have this transition or transformation that they can feel happier, feel more confident, feel more motivated by going back, connect with ourselves, really understand what we want, what we believe, and then we change our behaviors. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for
True.
that, Ozzie.
So Ozzy, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and for those wonderful stories and wonderful sharing that you have. Uh, we wish you best of luck, on your journey to master your emotional awareness and well-being.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick and Paul, for having me today. It's really um, great to share this experience that not everybody sit down and talk about this with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I wish the channel will have more content, have more interesting video in the future that the young people care about, and it will make impact in all young people's life. Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you.
That's what we're here for. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.